In the inbox late night, glowing screens see the light. Email, everything feels alright.
The most important podcast for you to listen to in 2025. Today we're going to talk about building an audience in 2025. And let me assure you, the game has changed. In big promotional periods, Q4, Labor Day, a huge amount of your revenue is coming from buyers. We used to send reactivation campaigns. Well, it's clear to me from my analysis in 2024 that those are toast. Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, and Outlook, they are saying, stuff it. If you are going to be sending us addresses that are unengaged in these big bulk sends, we're going to just put it in spam. It's the world's best email and retention podcast, and I'm your host, Jordan Gordon. We are a member of the DTC network of podcasts and the philosophical home of the Pilot House email and customer retention team. Today we're going to talk about building an audience in 2025. And let me assure you, the game has changed. If you're listening to this, you're probably in the future, in 2025. I'm speaking to you from the past, late 2024. But wait, I can read your mind. I know what you're thinking. As you count your stacks from Q4, I want to get as much in my audience as possible. So next Q4, I can blast it out even more. You have a window of 10 months to grow your audience as much as possible and have the biggest Q4 2025 that you possibly can. All right, first, let's make a case. I mean, I think you all probably know this if you're listening to this podcast, but let's once again make the case for growing your audience, okay? First, I've tested this so many times, I've stopped looking at it on accounts because it's always the same. Repeat buyers who are receiving email, there are about 10 times more of them than repeat buyers who are not receiving email. When someone unsubscribes or falls out of your engagement window, for whatever reason, they stop buying. I'm sure it's a multitude of reasons. Hey, they unsubscribed because they're not interested anymore, right? They fell off the map because you were using poor deployment and segmentation practices and they stopped receiving emails. So they just stop getting that reminder and your brand slips into the ether for them because you're not getting any impressions. All kinds of reasons. But essentially, your email list is your buyer list. That's just basically the way it works. Okay? 2, is retention like a quarter of your business? Yeah, sure. Very common to go into Shopify, look at their Shopify repeat buyer rate and see that it's 20-25%. Right? But that's buyers from that month divided by total buyers. Many repeat buyers buy, 3, 4, 5 times. That's part of your business. It's a small number of people, but they're an outsized amount of your revenue because they're your repeat buyers. They're your whales. So do they turn over time, that 2025 from a snapshot into 25 to 30? Yeah, of course. And just to think about this in another way, our benchmark average for Klaviyo to Shopify revenue rate is 36%. So Klaviyo revenue is 36% the size of Shopify revenue. And I've told you that on an average day, buyer revenue which is repeat revenue by definition, is 2/3 of Klaviyo revenue, right? So look, is that like a quarter? Yeah. But again, that's a snapshot. Some of those repeat buyers are repeating again and again. So is that quarter like a third? Yeah, 33%, a third, whatever. Yeah, retention is a quarter to a third of your business. Now, I just looked at it for the last 90 days and I'm recording this early December. There's still lots of Q4 to come in, right? But I just looked at last 90 days because I had it handy. Our analyst ran it. And this is the percent of campaign revenue. So if you've been listening to the world's best email and retention podcast, of course you keep your prospects and your buyers separate. That's the most important segmentation optimization you can do, right? So our prospect revenue versus our buyer revenue, right? Buyers for our top 5 accounts in the last 90 days were 64% of the revenue from buyers for one account. Next account, 84% of revenue from buyers. Next account, 86% of revenue from buyers. Next account, 87% of revenue from buyers. Next account, 89% of revenue from buyers. So obviously in big promotional periods, Q4, Labor Day, right? A huge amount of your revenue is coming from buyers. Buyers don't repeat like evenly. I mean, if you're using advertising, you're probably used to like, look, we want to sustain a level of revenue, and then we just change our bid, to like try to keep this steady amount of cash flow, right? Trying to cash flow our business. That's not how retention works. People make their second purchase when they're good and ready, right? So obviously this is going to happen in these promotional periods. There's 4 reasons someone would be on your list. Updates, they love your business, they want to know what's new. Discounts, they're waiting for discounts. Aspiration, they want you to make sure that they want you to help them be the better person they're trying to be. And eye candy. So obviously discounts is on there. Some people will just walk away if you don't give discounts. And so that group really spends in these big peak periods, right? Q4, Labor Day, etc. So look, there's your case. Bigger list equals more revenue. It happens in these big peaks, right? You get this wash of revenue in these big promotional cycles. The potential is certainly there for it to be a third of your business. So a sizable amount of your business. Okay, well, good. So what are we going to do? We're going to spend the next year stuffing as much in there as we possibly can and then blow it out of the water in Q4. Awesome. That's the plan. But the game has changed. So I'm going to share a little screen here. Give me 1 second. Okay. Here's a little diagram. If you're listening on Apple, don't worry. You don't need to come in to find us on YouTube or Spotify or anything. It's fine. Just a simple little diagram. What's going on? You've got live audience, right? And what are we doing with that live audience? We're sending them campaigns, welcome flow, post-purchase flow. They're in play, right? Driving forward. That audience becomes unengaged. Obviously, some of our audience unengaged through email, unengaged through ads, they walk away. You've got the address, but they're no longer interacting. Now, it used to be that we had reactivation continuation flows. Continuation, that's DTC Podcast 311. You can go check that out to remind yourself how continuation flows work. That was me and Eric discussing it. So we have these flows, we have these automations. Hey, it's been a while. Come on back, right? And then we used to send reactivation campaigns. And this was to your stale list, your unengaged list. Okay? Well, it's clear to me from my analysis in 2024 that those are toast. Okay? Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, and Outlook, actually everybody's doing it, right? From what I see in the data. They are saying, look, stuff it, okay? If you are going to be sending us addresses that are unengaged in these big bulk sends, we're going to just put it in spam, right? We're going to do your job for you. Here's what they're saying. We have had enough of stuffing our users' inboxes with messages they don't want. Every single channel, the purchase resolves to email. Facebook, purchase resolves to email. Instagram, purchase resolves to email. Google, purchase resolves to email. TikTok, purchase resolves to email. Direct load, purchase resolves to email. And email is just stuffed with all this e-commerce, right? And email marketers out there, the idea is just stuff as many emails in the inbox as possible. And so we are now going to step up and say, if an address hasn't engaged in a long time and you try to send to it, we're just going to put it in spam. Even if we inbox your message, even if we think your message is fine, the late dated address is in there that aren't engaging, spam. Okay? That's the new paradigm. So reactivation campaigns or campaigns to react to inactive addresses, toast. Okay? Now, first of all, anybody out there who's got an agency, right? Now's a good time. Go to your agency and ask them, okay, please show me what you were doing to reactivate an address from 2 years ago, right? There is a, say, 90-95% chance that they were doing nothing. And they're going to come back to you with a word salad. And if they come back to you with a word salad, it's time to go to pilothouse.co, fill out the lead form, and speak to the email and customer retention team to start actually, doing lifecycle marketing, right? Okay, so very likely what I'm telling you, technically, you're not losing anything because you weren't even doing it anyway, and you just missed the biggest party. The biggest party was just popping an old address in a message and just sending it out. And as long as you manage your segmentation properly, and kind of the frequency at which you message people based on how often they engage, as long as you did that properly, you were just talking directly to people from a long time ago. Yeah, that party's over. And sorry, just to finish off the diagram here, of course, what these things are all trying to do. Of course, you want someone to buy from your welcome. Of course, you want to buy someone to buy from post-purchase. But what's happening? Someone goes into your reactivation continuation flow, they engage, and they go into your abandon. So of course, this whole thing, all this life cycle stuff, the real goal is to get them into your site abandon, browse abandon, cart abandon, checkout abandon. That's the real goal, because that's where the party is. All the revenue comes from someone who's been in your site in the last 30 days in Klaviyo. So we've just lost a way to get someone into abandonment. We've just lost a way to speak to someone from 2 years ago and get them in your site abandon, browse abandon. Get all the things that we're doing in there, the dynamic merchandising. Here's our latest products, right? The explanation of why your brand is the best brand. We've lost a way to make that happen. So, if you want to build a large audience in 2024, you can't lean on campaigns anymore. All right? Does everybody here remember sniper segments? DTC podcast episode 271. We discussed sniper segments, which is really tightening your window. And by sending less emails, actually driving more revenue because you stay in the inbox. Wow. When I really sit back and look at 2024 and everything that Gmail and Yahoo have done, that was like an almost Nostradamus level prediction. DTC podcast 271. Full disclosure, I've gone back and looked at some of the stuff from DTC podcast 2 years ago. Some of the techniques I say there no longer are valid. So, I do recommend you go back and look at those old pods, but just keep in mind that some of the techniques just don't work in this new paradigm. So, look, we're going back to sniper segments. We're going back to very tight segmentation to react to clear shot across the bow from Gmail and Yahoo that we don't want your garbage anymore. We don't want your garbage addresses, right? We don't want you emailing people that are not interested in your messages. Essentially, tighter is looser, because tighter is what keeps you in the inbox. So now, if you are going to be using tighter windows, which is basically what's required these days, and if you are going to be abandoning the infrequent message to really long addresses, because you understand, like we do, that, sure, some of that'll get through, but so little is getting through that it's like, that shouldn't be your strategy. Sending to really big lists anymore, it's just not it anymore, right? Sure, maybe it'll inbox in a non-peak period, right? But in the peak period, when your share of Klaviyo revenue going to buyers goes from like 60% to 90%, that's when Gmail and Yahoo are saying, stuff it, right? So look, you still got campaigns, but what you need to do is you need to keep people in your tighter engagement window, which means in 2025, if you want to build an audience, you need amazing content. So if you've got a lot of newness is great. Awesome. If you're like, especially like, jewelry and apparel, these kinds of brands where there's quarterly drops, you've already got just this built-in newness. So just obviously lean on that, right? Do drops. Everybody's kind of doing that now anyway. Let's say you don't have all that newness, right? And let's say you are, a smaller number of SKUs makeup company, right? 8 SKUs, 10 SKUs, 12 SKUs. Well, think about what you're saying. You need people to want to engage with your emails. You need to build the email program that you would want to be on. So you can't have an email that's like, top 3 steps for putting your makeup on properly. Step 1, wash your face. Like, come on, right? I see these emails. I'm like, what is this? Who would want to be on this list? And importantly, now they don't even need to unsubscribe, right? They don't need to unsubscribe from your list because if they're not engaging, Yahoo and Gmail, they're going to do the job for you. They're going to just dump it in spam, even if the email itself inboxes. They go through and go, these ones here, this guy, spam. These ones, they can still get it. They're kind of engaging, right? Even an email with a good click-through rate. They're going to go through and find the people that aren't engaging, put it in spam, okay? And then, look, they're out of your sphere. They fell off the map. And what does that mean? When you go to the big peak season, Labor Day comes, you send out a big email, there's a bunch of people, they're not getting your message because they stopped engaging. Gmail and Yahoo spam it. So what do? Step 1, wash your face. Forget it. Pick up your iPhone, record a cool video, right? You're an entrepreneur. Get your hands dirty. Take your iPhone and make a video about all the things that you do when you're putting your makeup on, right? Host that video on a page on your site, okay? If you're quick, you'll host it on a product detail page because then when someone goes to the video, they're on a PDP and it triggers browse abandon. There might also be a reason to put it on, a rich content page. So you've got like a post-click experience and that'll trigger your site abandon. So no matter what, when you drive traffic to that video, you're getting someone into that abandonment funnel where all the action is. That's where the party is. Okay, so you've got those videos out there, right? In your organic sphere, you drive the traffic back to watch the video, it triggers the site abandon or the browse abandon, and then what happens? Every true open that comes from those site abandon or browse abandon emails gets someone back into your campaign window. And what's that mean? It's an engagement that Gmail and Yahoo believe in. I mean, they know what an Apple Privacy Open is, right? So when you are sending to half of your emails you send to are Apple Privacy Opens, if you've got another agency, there's an 80% chance that half of the emails they send to are just dead Apple Privacy Opens. But let's say you tighten that up, okay? And you segment based on true opens. Every true open that clicks on that site abandon or browse abandon goes back into your campaign window. And now in this new paradigm, Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, Outlook, they register that and they go, this person has engaged. It's a real open. Okay, they're still in the party. And of course, if they click on one of those emails, it gets people into your retargeting for Meta and AdSense. And like, as always, email and customer retention are just juicing your whole digital ecosystem. Okay, something you can do to understand if this is working properly is segment your site abandon by age of address. Now, I know we just did a video and we talked about the only site abandon flow you'd ever need, and it was segmented not on age of address, it was segmented on entry page, or significant browsed page. Yeah, look, if you set that up and you didn't, especially if you didn't have a site abandon, that's fine, just set that up. But point being, okay, if you're going to start thinking about building an audience of drawing in all these old addresses, why not have an experience for them versus an experience for someone who just joined the brand, right? And why not segment that flow and branch it so you're speaking differently to really old addresses, right? So that's how you would be using your campaign channel to keep this campaign channel stuffed. Really, really high quality content, not step 1, wash your face, right? The video, right? Anyone who engages in that tight segment, that sniper segment, DTC podcast 271, anybody who engages in that tight segment, they're still in. Gmail, Yahoo, they register it, right? Anybody who slips off, they're still in your sphere, you're sending cool content, you send the video out there, they click, they come back to the site, they get engagement emails, they get abandonment emails, and Gmail and Yahoo, if they interact, register it. They're still in, okay? And finally, look, think back to the diagram. The campaigns are toast, flows aren't. So anybody out there with an agency, ask them to show you and justify to you that they are speaking to people from a long time ago. If they're not, come to pilothouse.co, fill out the lead form, ask or talk to Jordan Gordon or anybody from the Pilot House email and customer retention team. But basically, you want to be doing real reactivation continuation. Don't just be sending emails when people would be getting campaigns anyway. You're just adding to the noise. Reactivation continuation must address net new addresses beyond what your campaigns are doing. And for an explanation on how continuation works, go to DTC Podcast 311. I'll give you the bottom line. Make your email program like Amazon. Learn from what Amazon learned. Do what Amazon does. Product discovery, flywheels. It's all there. So I invite you to go back and check it out. All right. So let's wrap it up. The game has changed. You can no longer trust long campaign windows to keep your audience live. You have 10 months to get as much in your audience as you possibly can. That's lots of new customers, of course, but also as you get those new customers, keeping them in your window. The ways to do that are to have excellent content, right? So the people who are in your campaign window stay in your campaign window. 2 are to use the rest of your digital ecosystem to drive traffic into your abandonment flows so that people have a chance to interact with your emails to stay on, so that those individual addresses stay on Gmail and Yahoo's happy list. And then finally, do a real continuation flow. Really speak to your existing audience beyond your campaign window. All right, that is potentially the most important podcast for you to listen to in 2025. So if you need to listen to it again, I invite you to. If you have questions, come visit pilothouse.co. If you are just listening to the pod to further email, we love you for it. Have fun spamming.
In the inbox late night, glowing screen, see the light. Email, everything feels alright.
Hey entrepreneurs and spammers, remember, you can't scale without email, and the cheapest customer to acquire is the customer you already have. So please subscribe to the world's best email and retention podcast and learn how to make low-cost revenue a big part of your digital ecosystem.